I'm going to show you the setup and how to play Tea Garden for 2 players. The only main difference is actually in setup for 2 players based on how many you're going to grab for certain areas. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to put the board in the center of the table. Next to the game board, you're going to create a supply of the different scrolls by their types. The tea tokens, the emperor tokens, and the cup tokens. You're going to grab these region bonus tiles, turn them upside down, shuffle them up, and place one on each of the symbols in all of the different regions except for the region you start in. You're going to shuffle up the cup tiles. You're going to be putting a certain amount in each province based on player count as depicted in this spot right here. You're going to put them and then you're going to put them in a face up pile in each spot around the board. You next are going to be creating a deck of action cards. Again, the amount of each one is going to be denoted by the player count as displayed on the screen right now. So you're going to grab that amount from the decks of the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You're going to shuffle these decks up separately and then stacking them from 5 up to 1. Then once you have created that deck, you are going to be placing cards out here along the bottom where it is 1 through 5 and setting that deck aside to replenish as the game goes on. Next, you are going to create a caravan deck. You are going to be finding the caravan cards with this blue border. You are going to be shuffling those up, placing them by the board. You then are going to find the caravan cards with this icon or this corner. You're going to grab a certain amount based on player count, shuffling those up, placing those on top of the other deck, and then flipping over 3 for a display. You're going to be shuffling up the Emperor cards. They look like this, have a little Emperor in the corner. You're going to be shuffling those up, setting that deck off to the side, and revealing 3 for the display like there. Next, each player is going to take a player board, grab all their pieces of their denoted color. They're going to line up their tea gardens along the spots above on top of their board. They're going to put their remainder one out in this 2 spot here where everyone starts. They're going to grab their supply of workers. They're going to put one up here for tea studies, one down here at the bottom of the Emperor track, setting the rest aside to be used throughout the game. You're going to put your boat at the boat starting spot. You are going to be grabbing the 11 starting cards that denote your fan in the top. You're going to be shuffling them up. You're going to be setting them off to the side of your board, drawing 4 to begin the game. You are then going to also grab 2 tea leaves on the green side, placing them in your little 2 spot right there. Each player can also get a player aid that shows the main actions and secondary actions on the back. Then you have a card for the maintenance phase and end game scoring that you can set where everyone can see it. And you'll have your score marker down here at the 0. Finally, you'll place the round marker on the 1 spot, and then you are ready to begin. A game of Tea Garden is going to play over 5 rounds, and in each round, players will take up to 4 turns. When a player takes a turn, they are going to be playing cards from their hand to denote the strength of the main action they're going to take. They're going to play their first set right here, and then the second, the third, and then if they want to take a 4th, they can play here. However, they're going to need to pay 3 leaves, one of which has to be brown. Really quick about the tea leaves. So green is fresh tea. At some point, you may be able to ferment them. When you ferment them, you're going to turn them to their brown side. When paying for things, if it shows a green tea leaf, you can pay with that with green tea leaves or brown tea leaves. However, if a brown leaf is depicted, you need to spend a brown leaf. So getting into the first phase of every round, and that is the action phase. So this is where you will be taking your main actions and playing cards. So when you look at cards, there's various different things. Up here, you'll see the power that it contributes to the action. Here are various teapots you'll need when we get into buying cards. Looking at some of the cards out here, these are the secondary action icons. Those will matter when you play them over here on your board. So on your turn, you will be doing a main action, possibly a secondary action, and then possibly free actions as well. So in order to take your turn, you're going to play cards down on your board. So for this instance, let's say I'm going to play these 2 cards right here. This has a 2 on it, and this has a 1 on it. So I am now doing this at a strength level of 3. That is going to matter to see what we are able to do on our turn. So the first thing we're going to talk about is building a tea garden. So your tea gardens are up here on the top of your player board. In order to build one, you need to be having the strength power of which one you want to build. 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, and 6. You do not need to build these in order. When you build one, so I have a strength of 3, I'll grab this 3 one, and you can go into a region that is adjacent to you. The river is not adjacent, so you would have to spend extra to come across here, which is the note on your board, which means when you build a tea garden, if you do +2 strength, you can cross one border line. So if I play the extra 2, I could jump to here, I could jump across the river. But in this instance, I paid 3, so I'm going to put this right here. Now, something to note as we're looking at this token, and this is going to be in relation to when we buy things as well, you'll see it's got 2 and then shows 2 leaves. 2 is the basket you are going to put it in, and the leaves are the amount of leaves. So in this instance, I am going to grab 2 leaves, and I'm going to put them in my strength 2 basket like so. So when you place them in here, you are going to get the depicted icon. Some of these are going to be scrolls, which I'll go over in a little bit. Some of them will let you discard cards, draw cards, etc. Next, we're going to go over buying action cards. So these are the action cards. Their cost is at the bottom. This denotes how many points they're going to be at the end of the game. This denotes the level card they are. And this denotes, as with these, the power that they're going to contribute to your main action. So in order to buy these cards, you need to first be having the strength of what's above it or less. So in this instance, I have 3. So I have access to these 4 cards. I do not have the power in order to go here. At this point, let me touch on this scroll. This is a +1. You can play this to increase the strength of your action. So if I'm at 3, I could play this, which would increase it to 4, which means I now have access to that card. To purchase a card, you're going to look at the bottom and you're going to need to be able to spend this amount of tea leaves and have this teapot showing on any of your played cards. So, had I had this card showing here and I played this as a level 3, I can look here and see that this one needs any teapot showing. So even though I am in this spot, which is the only one I'm typically concerned about when it comes to power or secondary actions, when you buy cards, you are going to look at all cards played that are on the topmost. So if a card was covered like this, that teapot does not count. But so I have this teapot, so I'm going to look here. This one needs a green teapot and 3 leaves spent at level 2 or higher. So in this instance, I would spend my 3 leaves. I would grab this card. I have my green teapot. I have spent the necessary resources. It goes into my hand. These all slide down, and then this next one flips over. Using this new card as an example of something else that happens is you'll see this little icon depicted here. This is a bonus action that happens when you acquire that card. This is fermentation. I'll get into that here in a minute, but basically when you acquire this card, you would do this ferment action with 1 leaf. Not every time you play it, only when you acquire it. So again, that is buying an action card. When you do buy an action card, if you are short on having the amount of teapots you need, there's a couple different options. Up here, you'll see you can spend 3 green leaves or 2 fermented leaves for 1 teapot of any color. Or if you have this scroll, you can spend this in place of a teapot of any color. Next one is selling tea to caravans. So that is depicted by these cards up here. When you sell to a caravan, you'll see they have 2 areas. They have one that has tea leaves and one that has power indicators. When you sell tea to a caravan, you need to be able to satisfy 1 part of each one. So in order to say I want to do this one, I am at a level 3. I am going to spend my tea leaf. That will give me this scroll token. I look, I'm at a 3, so 2 plus, I would get 3 points and one of these tokens. I would then take this caravan card, put it in my tableau that may come into scoring later, and then you replenish with a new card. Next, we are going to get into fermentation. Fermentation is you will ferment the amount of leaves equal to your power. In this instance, I have 3 power, so I will ferment 3 leaves, just simply flipping them over to their brown side, and now those are considered fermented. The last main action you can do is an extra leaf harvest. I'll get into the regular leaf harvest when we get into the maintenance phase. But what the extra leaf harvest is going to do is for every power, you're able to grab one leaf from one of the regions where you have a tea garden. So in this instance, I have a 3 power. I only have 2 tea gardens out here. It means I can grab one and put it in my level 2 and grab one and put it in my level 3. Now, had I had tea gardens in these 4 spots and I had a power 3, I choose which ones I want. I can't take like 2 5s. It's only one from each. So if I did it again, I could in an instance grab a 6, a 5, and a 3, or a 2. So that is the extra leaf harvest. So those are your 5 main actions. In addition to those, there's a possibility that you will do a secondary action. Secondary actions are depicted on these cards in these circles. The secondary actions, the first one is river navigation. In order to be able to do these secondary actions, they need to be on the topmost card of what you have played. So had I instead played it like this, I would have no secondary action available. So for river navigation, you are simply going to move your boat to the next spot, getting what is depicted, in this instance, a green leaf at level 2, and it goes along here and getting various items. If you are in this last spot and you move to here, you are simply going to place your boat at the next available spot, and those are going to be giving you end game points. Next up, we have cup production, which is this one. When you do a cup production, you are going to take a cup from a province with one of your tea gardens. So we start off here, so we automatically have access to these cups here. I have a tea garden in this province, so I can grab from there, or from here, I can grab from there. I have no tea gardens down here, so I do not have access to either one of these. So when you grab a cup, you're going to simply take it and put it in your play area. Now, on a later turn, if you go ahead and grab another one, you are going to attempt to try and match the colors on the sides. It is not necessary, but it's going to help with endgame scoring. So we'll say I go ahead and I take this one, placing it next to it to form there. Now, whether it matches or not, once you have joined 2, you are going to place a cup token on that spot, and we'll go over that when we go over free actions. You'll notice that there is icons on the board where you're able to get more. So had my ship sailed into this spot, I get one of these. One spot can hold multiple discs if you wanted to. The final one you're going to do is tea studies, which is up here. When you do a tea study, you're going to simply take your worker and move to the next quadrant, choosing one of the actions to take, grabbing 3 2s, or in this instance, fermenting 2 leaves. And then you'll be moving around this board. When you go from this sector to the next sector, crossing this starting line, you are going to grab one of your extra workers, placing them in the middle, and that is going to be worth points at the end of the game. Then you'll just continue your way around. Every time you pass there, you'll be adding an extra worker. So those are your 3 secondary actions. Moving into your free actions. One of the free actions you can do is you can advance on this Emperor track over here. In order to advance on here, you're going to look at the next spot. In this instance, it wants you to have 2 Emperor tokens and spending a leaf from the denoted level. So in this instance, a level 1, which you can do as a level 2. You are then going to move your marker up, getting the benefit at the end. In these levels, it is going to be removing a card from your deck. You can remove a card from your hand, from your discard pile, or from the cards in your deck. If you remove one from in your deck, you will shuffle it after you are done removing it. And then you are going to grab an Emperor card. Emperor cards are going to go into your hand, just as if you had bought them from here. Some of them have these instant effects on them. Some of them have the secondary actions, but all of them are going to have a scoring at the end of the game option. In this instance, 12 straight points. In this one's instance, 3 for that card, etc. There is a variety of them in there. This icon simply means you are going to draw a card from your deck, and then you are going to discard a card from your hand. Another free action you can do is you can use a cup token. When you use a cup token, you are simply going to discard it and then do one of the actions on either side of it. So in this instance, either grab 2 number 1 leaves or ferment 2 leaves. As you see, there's a variety of different things amongst all of those. The next thing you can do is you can repeat a secondary action. So say I sailed my ship and I want to sail again, I can spend 3 fermented leaves in order to repeat that one, sailing and getting those tokens. Or if you have this scroll right here, you can spend this scroll to repeat that secondary action as well. Finally, using a scroll is a free action. I've gone over the 3 different scrolls, but really quick again, this can replace a teapot when you purchase. This is repeating secondary action. This adds power to the action that you are taking. So again, players are going to be going back and forth, taking their actions and their turns. In order to take a 4th turn in a round, you are going to need to spend 3 leaves, one of which needs to be brown, so I could in theory do that, and then play a card down there doing it as normal. If you do not want to take that action, or you're unable, or you're past, or anything like that, you can pass. Once both players are past or done taking actions, you're going to move into the maintenance phase. In the maintenance phase, you are going to move the round marker one. You are going to pass the starting marker to the next player. In the card display, you are going to discard the card in the spot. It is denoted with that. You are going to slide all the cards down and replenish the end. All the cards that you have played are going to go ahead and get collected, and they are going to be placed in your discard pile. You're going to ripen your tea leaves. So any fermented leaf is going to move to the right. Any fresh leaf is going to move to the left. So these get stronger and better. These get more or get weaker. You then are going to harvest 2 leaves per tea garden. So in this instance, I would get 2 level 2s, 2 level 3s, 2 level 5s, and 2 level 6s. And then finally, you are going to draw 4 cards to your hand. There is no hand limit, so if you still have cards left in your hand from the last round, you now have more than 4 cards and have more access to basically be doing stronger actions. There is one type of card, these level 5s, I want to get into right here. So even though this would be, you'd think this would be similar to this instant bonus when you acquire the card, instead what this is when you play this card as your topmost card, up to 6 leaves, you can turn in fermented leaves for 2 points or fresh leaves for 1 point. So at the end of the 5th round, you are not going to do the maintenance phase. Instead, you are going to move into endgame scoring. There are 7 different ways you will do endgame scoring. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to total up action card points. Your action cards, as I said, have this little point indicator down here at the bottom. You're going to total all those up and add them to your score. The Emperor cards, you're going to give yourself the scoring bonus for those. You are going to check what your position is on the river and get points for that. So again, if I was here, I'd get 7 points. If I got all the way to here, that would be 25 points. Your position on the Tea University. So you're going to be getting 10 points for everyone in the middle. And then based on where your worker ended, you'll be getting points. So if I ended here, it'd be 4 plus the 10 for 14 points. You're going to look at the Emperor track. If you've gotten all the way to the top, you will get 10 points. You're going to look at your cup production. So you're going to see how many of the same color connections you have. In this instance, I only have 1, so I would be getting 1 point. And then each unused scroll and each unused Emperor tokens is a point at the end of the game as well. High score is the winner. So that is the basics of Tea Garden. As I said, there is some symbology on here. It's all covered in the rule book. But basically, it's going to be drawing cards, discarding cards, etc. Same thing with the scoring, all covered in the rule book. So if I could get your head down below and hit like, share, ring the bell, maybe even leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite tea is. All that is appreciated. Also down there, we have a link to Miniature Market where you can go ahead and purchase board games. And those are that if you use our link, that will have a portion of the sales come back to our channel to help fund what we are doing here. Alrighty, so go and relax with a nice cup of tea.